Almost everybody wants to swing faster, right? They want to increase swing speed. Well, you can't increase swing speed without changing the system that's going to rotate. If you think of your washing machine when it's in the spin cycle, if it's off balance, you hear this clunk, 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 and it cannot spin quickly, right? If you don't change that system, well, the faster it goes, just the more chaotic it gets. So you have to balance it before you can speed it up. I mean, if I stand like this, my body's basically balanced, and I can spin pretty quickly, and we know that ice skaters can do it, right? But if I move a hand over here, right, now I'm a little bit more heavy here. If I move two hands over there, well, I have to lean back a little bit in order to counterbalance this, in order to make it basically balanced. And now that balance point, which was previously right through the center of my body, when I put my hands out, is now in front of my face, right? And so you have to have a balanced system in order for it to spin quickly. We've seen that, with anything that spins.
What's really kind of interesting about these ice skaters is they are not spinning with their head or their spine as the axis. They are spinning around an invisible axis point that they have balanced vertically so that they can spin.
If you have a power drill and whatever you're drilling or spinning on the end isn't balanced, it's not only dangerous, it's just not going to spin very fast, and it requires a lot more energy, as well as it requires the energy of you trying to stabilize it, right? As it wobbles. And so we don't want that. And that also happens in the golf swing. My point here is, well, let me show you. When I'm going to use 3 clubs here. When we're swinging the golf club, when it reaches the bottom, there is a centripetal force that's going outward in the direction that it's the tangent of the direction of force. So even though the club is not actually moving in that direction, it's pulling in that direction, right? And this, as I just demonstrated, is why most everyone tends to stand up, or what we know as early extension, because when that force happens, people offset that force with their upper body, right? And you see this because if you didn't, well, you'd just get yanked right out of your stance. So if you watch the good players or the best players, they don't do that. What they're doing is when that force is that way, they're offsetting it with their lower body instead of their upper body. So it's the lower body that goes back, which allows the upper body to stay in balance. If I'm swinging standing up, my axis of rotation is like this, but when I stick my butt back and keeps the body in balance and allows it to spin quickly, but when I do that, my center of rotation is completely different than it is when you lean back. You lean back, you're over here, right? Even though funny thing is, you want your club path or your swing plane to be going that way. Yet a lot of people, that's their axis of rotation too. And we also know that rotation happens better at 90 degrees than it does at anything else. This is just not going to work well. The faster this goes, the faster it's going to want to get to 90 degrees. Anyway, so when I apply the brake and I push my left hip back, that allows my head to stay down, and it offsets that pull the centripetal force that the club is applying in that direction, right? Right? That's how it's done. I mean, I think we see ice skaters do this when I think it's called a Christie, but the butt has to go back if the shoulders go forward. The whole thing has to stay stacked, at least if you're going to spin vertically. And in this case, we're not spinning vertically. We're spinning on a diagonal. And we have centripetal force pulling us that way. And we need to fight that with mass. And instead of moving this mass to the opposite side, we move this mass to the opposite side. And that changes everything, right? Hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully I was recording that. Yes, I was. Okay, good. All right.